This video is about she was just a girl until a tycoon bought him a company. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. Part 1. She was just a girl until a tycoon bought him a company. In the small town of Willow Creek, nestled between rolling hills and sprawling fields, lived a girl named Alara. She was just 16, with a heart full of dreams and an imagination that soared beyond the dusty roads of her hometown. Alara was known for her kindness, often seen helping her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, with groceries or attending to the town's community garden. But behind her bright smile lay a silent struggle. Alara's family faced financial challenges. Her father had lost his job at the local factory, and her mother worked long hours at the diner. Every day brought a new wave of worry, yet Alara refused to let despair dim her spirit. Instead, she channeled her energy into her passion writing. Every evening, after completing her chores, she would curl up in her little attic room with her notebook, scribbling stories about strong heroines overcoming struggles, tales where hope triumphed over despair. Her words were her escape, a bridge to a world where anything was possible. One sunny afternoon, Alara stood in the community garden, pulling weeds and dreaming about her future. What if I could make a real difference someday? She pondered aloud. Her friend Mia, who was planting daisies nearby, looked up and grinned. You will, Alara, you have a gift. One day, your stories will change lives. The seed of ambition planted itself firmly in Alara's heart. She began submitting her stories to local contests, pouring her essence into each piece. Yet the rejections piled up, echoing her fears of inadequacy. She often found herself staring at her notebook, wondering if anyone would ever see her work as worthy. In the midst of her struggles, a stranger arrived in Willow Creek. Victor Harrington, a tycoon known for his ruthless business acumen, came to scout potential investments in the area. Rumors spread like wildfire. The townsfolk whispered about him bringing factories and jobs. Alara felt a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. Would he care about the community, or would he merely exploit it? One fateful evening, while volunteering to set up for the annual Willow Creek Fair, Alara caught a glimpse of Mr. Harrington. He stood talking to the mayor, his tailored suit seeming out of place among the townsfolk's casual attire. Something about him drew her in, a sense of determination, perhaps, or the mystery that surrounded his presence. As the fair got underway, Alara helped children paint their faces and served cotton candy. Her laughter mingled with the music, creating an atmosphere of joy. Just as she was about to take a break, a little girl tugged at her sleeve. "Can you help me write a story?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with innocence. "Of course," Alara replied, kneeling down to the girl's level. "What is your story about?" "About a princess who helps everyone," the girl exclaimed, her excitement infectious. Alara offered the little girl her notebook, and together they filled pages with tales of bravery and kindness. In that moment, Alara realized that her words were not just for her, they could inspire others too. Suddenly, Victor Harrington approached, intrigued by the laughter and the spectacle. "What is happening here?" he asked, his voice deep and commanding yet softened by curiosity. Alara looked up surprised. "We're rewriting stories about heroes," she said, her heart racing. She felt a surge of courage, briefly forgetting the rumor surrounding him. "A noble pursuit," he said, a hint of a smile breaking through his stoic facade. "I believe stories can change the world, one person at a time." Alara felt a spark of connection. "They can help people find their strength," she added, her passion igniting. "Like when they feel lost or afraid." Mr. Harrington nodded thoughtfully, his eyes studying her. "And what is your story, young lady?" "I want to write about hope and resilience," she replied. "About overcoming challenges and making a difference." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Perhaps you'd like to tell that story on a larger scale." He gestured to the crowd. "This town could use a voice like yours." Days turned into weeks, and Alara's life took an unexpected turn. Victor Harrington announced his plans to buy the local factory and invest in the community. He started a program to support local artists and writers, offering workshops where dreams could flourish. It was a chance for Alara to share her stories with a wider audience. Despite the excitement, doubt crept in. "What if I am not good enough?" she confided in Mia, her closest friend. "What if my stories aren't worthy of being heard?" Mia took her hands firmly. "You have to believe in yourself, Alara. You've already made a difference in that little girl's life. Imagine what you could do for others." Encouraged, Alara signed up for Harrington's program, taking a deep breath as she stepped into the workshop. The room buzzed with creativity, filled with writers and artists of all ages, each passionate about their craft. Alara felt an undercurrent of excitement as she listened to their stories. Over the next few weeks, she poured her heart into her writing, crafting a tale about a brave young girl who embarked on a journey to save her village. Each word became a thread weaving resilience and hope into the fabric of her story. She read her work aloud, every time feeling a little more confident. One evening, as Alara sat at her desk, her fingers dancing across the keys, she received an unexpected message on her laptop. It was from Victor Harrington. "I'd like to meet to discuss an opportunity," it read. Her heart raced. What could he want? The following day, she met him in a charming cafe downtown, a place filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and pastries. "First, let me say how impressed I've been with your progress, Lara," he said, his voice steady. "You have a gift that deserves to be shared." "Thank you, Mr. Harrington," she replied, feeling a mix of pride and disbelief. "I want to support you," he continued. "I am starting a publishing initiative to uplift voices like yours. Your story could be the first in a series aimed at inspiring young people." Alara's heart raced. "You mean I could publish my story?" "Yes," he confirmed, a warm smile breaking through his usually serious demeanor. "I believe it could light a fire in others, just as you've done in the workshop." Tears of overwhelming joy filled Alara's eyes. "I can't believe it. This means everything to me." "Believe it, Lara," he said softly. "You've already made a difference in your community. Now it is time to share your voice with the world." As she walked home that evening, the weight of her struggles began to lift, replaced by the sweet scent of possibility. Alara felt a new sense of purpose, believing in her strength to influence others positively. With each passing day, Alara transformed from a shy girl in a small town to a budding author ready to embrace her dreams. She poured herself into her work, her heart beating to the rhythm of hope. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of her journey, a path paved with challenges that would ultimately lead to resilience, empowerment, and a profound connection with the human spirit. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, the spark that would ignite the flame of her future. And Alara stood ready to embrace it all. # Part 2 and New Chapter. Alara woke the next morning with a sense of urgency, the lingering excitement of her meeting with Victor Harrington pulsing through her veins. She raced through her morning routine, the sun streaming through her attic window, casting a warm glow on her notebooks strewn across the floor. Each page was filled with dreams waiting to be brought to life. "Don't forget breakfast," her mother called from the kitchen, her voice tinged with the exhaustion of another long night. Alara paused, glancing at her mother, whose weary expression reflected the weight they all carried. "Just a minute," she replied, grabbing her notebook and pencil before bounding down the stairs. She slid into the kitchen and offered her mother a smile. "What do you think about me publishing my story?" Her mother looked up, surprise washing over her face. "Publishing? Oh, Alara, that's wonderful. I've always known you had a gift." With encouragement in her heart, Alara finished her breakfast, barely tasting the food as her mind swelled with possibilities. She envisioned her words transforming lives, her story reaching young hearts the way it had touched her own. At school that day, Alara's excitement was contagious. Mia joined her for lunch, and as they sat under the oak tree, Alara shared every detail of her meeting with Victor. "He said I have a gift," Alara exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "He wants to publish my story." That's incredible. You deserve this, Lara," Mia said, clapping her hands together. "Can you imagine your name on a book?" Alara giggled. "What if it is a bestseller? What if—" "Stop, you were going to give me goosebumps," Mia interrupted, her laughter bubbling up. "But wait, you know this won't be easy, right? There'll be challenges." "I know," Alara said, her voice softening. "But I am ready. I have to be. I want to inspire others." That evening, Alara smoothed out the pages of her manuscript, pouring her heart into every word. Yet, as the sun dipped low, shadows of doubt began creeping in. "What if it is not enough?" she whispered to herself, a familiar fear gnawing at her. The next morning, she received an email from Victor, detailing the next steps for her manuscript. It was an exhilarating moment, but as she sat down to work, self-doubt loomed larger. "Why would anyone want to read a story from a girl like me?" she sighed to me over coffee at the cafe. "Because your story matters," Mia insisted, her voice unwavering. "You've already inspired me. Just look at how you helped that little girl write her story." Alara nodded, comforted by her friend's belief in her. She returned home that evening, the weight of expectation heavy on her shoulders. The first draft began to take shape, but each word felt like a mountain to climb. Days turned into weeks, and with each page, Alara battled her inner critic. Sometimes, While typing away late into the night, she would pause to stare at the blinking cursor, frustration boiling inside her. "What if I am not strong enough?" she murmured to the empty room, her heart aching. The dreams that once felt so attainable now seemed like distant stars, unreachable and cold. But deep down, a flicker of determination kept her going. She reminded herself of the little girl at the fair, eyes shining with hope. Alara gathered her scattered thoughts and returned to her writing, channeling the resilience she felt in her heart. One rainy afternoon, Victor visited the workshop. Alara's heart raced as he entered, shrouded in an air of authority that demanded respect. "Today, I want to talk about the power of vulnerability," he began, his voice echoing through the room. Alara listened intently as he spoke of challenges he faced in his own life, the moments where he felt lost and alone. "It is okay to struggle," he said, his tone softening. "What matters is how you rise from it." His words struck a chord in Alara, reigniting her spirit. After the session, she approached him, her hands trembling. "Thank you for sharing that. It is comforting to know even successful people face challenges." Victor smiled knowingly, a flicker of pride in his eyes. "You have the potential to encourage others through your writing, Alara, remember that." With renewed vigor, Alara left the workshop, her heart lighter and her resolve stronger. She spent countless nights rewriting her manuscript, drawing from her own experiences, her family's struggles, and her passion for storytelling. But just when she thought she was making progress, another wave of self-doubt crashed over her. "What if it doesn't resonate? What if it is just another story?" she confided in Mia one evening, as they sat beneath the stars. Mia took a deep breath, her gaze steady. "Alara, every story is valuable, yours is unique, and it has the power to connect with someone out there you never know who might need to hear your words." Alara absorbed her friend's encouragement, feeling a sense of warmth spread through her. As she looked up at the vast night sky, she realized how far she had come and how far she still had to go. Weeks turned into months, and the day finally arrived for her to submit her manuscript to Victor. Alara pressed send on the email, a mix of anxiety and excitement flooding her. The fear of rejection loomed, but she knew she had to take the leap. The next few days felt like an eternity. Alara continued attending the workshops, immersing herself in the creativity around her, fueled by the belief that her story could inspire others. Each evening, she returned home, pacing back and forth, waiting for the response. Finally, an email arrived from Victor. Her heart raced as she opened it, scanning the words. "Alara, your story is powerful and moving. It has the potential to resonate with many. I'd like to discuss publication options." Alara's Beth-hitched tears welling in her eyes. "I did it," she exclaimed, barely containing her joy. She called Mia, her voice bubbling with excitement. "He wants to publish it. He really believes in me." "Of course he does. You've earned this moment," Mia cheered, her voice filled with pride. "You are going to inspire so many people." In the following weeks, Alara met with Victor to discuss the publication process. They spoke at length about marketing, outreach, and the importance of connecting with readers. With each meeting, Victor became a mentor, guiding her through the intricacies of the literary world. "Remember, Alara," he advised one day, "your voice matters. The more authentic you are, the more it will resonate. Stay true to yourself." As the release date approached, Alara felt a blend of excitement and nervousness. She attended community events, sharing snippets of her story during open mic nights and book fairs, each moment filling her with life and purpose. But there were still dark days. The weight of expectation sometimes felt unbearable, and the fear of failure shadowed her steps. "What if I am not ready?" she whispered one night while journaling. "Then you take it one step at a time," she reminded herself, the resolve returning. "You've overcome so much already, and this is just another challenge." The day of the book launch arrived, and Alara stood before a crowd of friends, family, and community members gathered in the vibrant town hall. Her heart raced as she prepared to share her journey. The warmth of their smiles and encouraging nods filled her with a sense of belonging. "Today is not just about my book, but about the power of stories," she began, her voice steady. "Stories that inspire hope, resilience, and kindness. We all have our battles, and it is important to remember we were never alone." The crowd erupted in applause, and as she looked out, she saw the faces of those who had supported her, Mia, Mrs. Thompson, and even Victor, standing proudly at the back. The presence reminded her of her journey and the strength she had discovered along the way. As she read aloud from her book, Alara felt waves of emotion wash over her. Each word resonated, echoing her dreams and the struggles that had shaped her. The audience leaned in, captivated by her message of hope. "I hope my story finds a way into your hearts," she concluded, her voice trembling with gratitude. "And I hope you never stop believing in your own strength." The applause that followed was thunderous, enveloping her in warmth and acceptance. Alara stepped down from the podium, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. She had done it. Not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever felt lost or alone. In that moment, Alara understood the beauty of resilience, the way it intertwined with hope and kindness. She had transformed from just a girl with dreams into a beacon of inspiration for her community. And as she stood surrounded by love, she knew this was just the beginning of a journey that would light the way for others to follow. Part 3, The Road Ahead. In the weeks following the book launch, Alara found herself immersed in a whirlwind of activity. The excitement from the event still hung in the air, mingling with the crisp autumn breeze that carried whispers of new beginnings. Alara's heart brimmed with hope, yet deep down, an unfamiliar feeling crept in pressure. What if my book doesn't live up to the launch? She confided to me one evening as they settled onto a park bench, surrounded by the vibrant hues of falling leaves. What if people don't connect with my story? Mia shifted closer, her gaze unwavering. Alara, you already did something amazing. You shared your voice with the world. That matters more than any number of sales. Alara swallowed hard, taking in her friend's words. I know, but I keep thinking about all the stories that have inspired me. What if mine isn't enough? Isn't that what makes your story special? Mia replied, a hint of excitement in her eyes. It is yours, it is raw, it is real, and that is what people want. Just keep writing, keep sharing. Emboldened by Mia's encouragement, Alara returned home that evening brimming with determination. She decided to channel her doubts into her writing. Though the fear of judgment loomed, she reminded herself of the little girl at the fair, the spark of enthusiasm ignited by the stories filled with resilience. Days turned into a blur of writing sessions, social media promotions, and community readings. Alara found joy in connecting with readers during book signings, hearing their heartfelt stories about how her words had touched them. Your book helped me through a tough time, one woman said, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. Thank you for sharing that, Alara replied softly, her heart swelling. It means the world to me to know my story is making a difference. Yet, with that joy came challenges. The pressure to perform weighed heavily on her shoulders. Every review, every comment became magnified. One evening, after a particularly harsh critique appeared online, Alara found herself drowning in self-doubt. What if I am just a fraud? She whispered into her pillow, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her mother knocked gently, entering the room. Alara, honey, may I come in? Alara wiped her tears hastily, forcing a smile. Yeah, Mom, I am just thinking. Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, concern etched in her features. You are allowed to feel overwhelmed, but remember, you are not alone in this. You've accomplished so much, and it is okay to stumble along the way. I just don't want to let anyone down, Alara confessed, her voice trembling. What if I am not meant for this? Her mother reached out, taking Alara's hands in hers. You are meant for this. Every great story has ups and downs. It is part of the journey. It is how you rise that defines you. With a deep breath, Alara nodded, letting her mother's words settle into her heart. That night, she resolved to reach out to Victor. He had been a source of encouragement throughout her journey, and she needed his guidance now more than ever. Victor, do you have a moment to talk? She texted him the following morning, fingers crossed that he would respond soon. Of course, let us meet at the cafe later, he replied quickly. As she arrived at the cafe that afternoon, Alara's heart raced. She spotted Victor seated by the window, a familiar warmth radiating from his presence. Alara, good to see you, he greeted, his voice smooth yet comforting. Hi, Victor, she replied, settling across from him. I wanted to talk about, the feedback I've been getting. He leaned back, his expression encouraging. It is a part of the process. What is on your mind? Taking a deep breath, Alara poured out her feelings of doubt. I am afraid I am not living up to expectations. I thought I could inspire others, but the negative feedback has been hard to handle. Victor listened attentively, a thoughtful look in his eyes. It is normal to feel this way. Remember, criticism is a part of being an artist. What is important is how you choose to respond to it. But what if it is true? She pressed, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I am not good enough? Let me tell you a story, he began, his tone steady. When I started my first venture, I faced criticism every step of the way. There were days I questioned my decisions, but I learned that every successful individual has faced adversity. It is how you grow. Alara absorbed his words, the weight of her fears beginning to lighten. So you think I should just keep trying? I know you should, he affirmed, his eyes shining with conviction. You've already inspired people. Embrace the journey, the ups and downs. Your story is still being written. With a newfound resolve, Alara felt the flicker of hope reignite within her. She left the cafe feeling lighter, empowered by Victor's wisdom. The following weeks were transformative for Alara. She began attending writing workshops again, exploring different genres and styles. One evening, during a roundtable session, she met a fellow writer named Lucas, an outspoken young man with a passion for storytelling. "Tell me, Alara," Lucas said, leaning forward, his enthusiasm contagious. "What drives your writing?" "I want to share hope," she replied, her voice steady. "I believe stories can help people find their strength." "Then do that," he exclaimed. "Don't you let negativity hold you back. Write from the heart, and the right audience will find you." His words resonated deeply, and Alara found herself smiling more often, her confidence blooming like the flowers in the community garden she tended with Mia. Together, they began hosting story-writing sessions for local kids, encouraging creativity and expression. One afternoon, as Alara listened to laughter and excited chatter, she felt a sense of belonging wash over her. The children were eager to share their stories, and she reveled in their enthusiasm. "Ms. Alara, can you help me with my story?" the little boy named Ethan asked, his eyes bright with anticipation. "Of course, Ethan, what is your story about?" she replied, crouching down to meet him at eye level. "It is about a dragon who helps the villagers," he exclaimed, his hands animatedly illustrating the tale. Alara's heart swelled with joy, realizing that these moments were what she had been striving for all along. As they crafted stories together, she felt the threads of connection weaving through her heart, reminding her why she wanted to be a storyteller in the first place. Amid the joy of these workshops, Alara continued to write. One night, she experienced a surge of inspiration, her fingers flying across the keyboard as words poured forth. The story took shape, a tale of a girl overcoming her fears while learning to embrace her unique voice. As she completed the manuscript, Alara realized that it wasn't just about the story itself, but about the journey she had taken to get there, the resilience she had discovered along the way. She felt ready to share it with Victor. The next day, she walked into his office, her heart pounding with excitement. "Victor, I've finished a new manuscript. I'd love for you to take a look." He looked up with genuine interest. "That is fantastic." Alara let us set aside some time to review it together. After a few days of anticipation, they met to discuss her work. As Victor flipped through the pages, Alara held her breath, awaiting his feedback. "This is wonderful," he said, his eyes sparkling with approval. "You've truly captured the essence of resilience and hope. Your voice has matured, and I think the story will resonate with even more readers." Her heart soared, gratitude spilling over. "Thank you, Victor. It means so much to hear that." "We're going to publish this," he declared, a confident smile on his face. "I believe it will inspire many, just as your first book did." As the release date approached, Alara felt a sense of peace enveloping her. She had grown not only as a writer but as a person. The journey hadn't been easy, the doubts and fears had been real, but she had learned to rise above them, fueled by the love and kindness of those around her. "Are you ready for the launch?" May asked one evening as they stood in front of the community center, preparing for the event. "I think so," Alara replied, her voice steady. "This time, I feel different. I've learned to embrace the journey." On the day of the launch, Alara stood before a room filled with familiar faces, friends, family, and the children from her workshops. The air buzzed with anticipation and excitement. "Today, I want to share not just my story, but the stories of all of us," she began, her voice resonating with warmth. "We all face challenges, but it is our resilience and kindness that will guide us through." As she read excerpts from her new book, she saw the spark of inspiration reflected in the audience's eyes, and she felt a deep connection with them. Each word became an anchor, reminding her of the power of storytelling to heal and uplift. When she finished, the crowd erupted in applause, their cheers resonating through her. "Hash hash pop for the light beyond the shadows." As the applause settled into a warm hum, Alara felt a rush of gratitude wash over her. She stood there, heart pounding, surrounded by people who had believed in her long before she ever believed in herself. The warmth of their smiles illuminated her spirit, inspiring a spark of determination deep within her. "Wow, Alara, you were incredible," Mia exclaimed, rushing up to her, eyes wide with admiration. "I felt every word you said." Alara smiled, her heart still racing. "Thank you, Mia. I can believe it is finally out there." As the crowd began to disperse, many approached Alara, sharing their thoughts and appreciation for her work. Each compliment felt like a thread weaving them closer together, binding her to her community in ways she hadn't expected. "You've got a gift of touching hearts," Mrs. Thompson, her elderly neighbor, said, her voice quaking with emotion. You've made me believe in hope again, my dear. Alara's eyes misted over. Thank you, Miss S. Thompson. That means the world to me. But amid the joy, the shadows of doubt lingered, whispering insidiously. What if it doesn't resonate like the first one? But what if the warmth of today fades away? The flicker of uncertainty threatened to extinguish her newfound light. As days turned to weeks, Alara dove into the whirlwind of publicity surrounding her book. Interviews, social media engagements, and community events filled her calendar. The excitement was palpable, but so was the pressure. She found herself waking in the middle of the night, heart racing, mind spinning with worries. Am I doing enough? She often asked herself, staring at the ceiling as the moonlight spilled through her attic window. Will they still love me when the buzz fades? One evening, after a particularly draining day filled with interviews, she sat on her bed, notebook in hand, the familiar ink smudges staining her fingers. She wrote, pouring her heart onto the pages, seeking solace in her words. Dear Alara, she wrote, remember that your journey is what makes you real. Embrace every moment. The next day, she decided to reach out to Victor again. She needed to share the weight she felt pressing down on her. Victor, can we meet? She texted, her fingers trembling slightly as she pressed send. Of course, let us meet at the cafe, he replied almost instantly. As she arrived at their usual spot, Victor was already there, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, his expression warm and inviting. Alara, good to see you. How have you been? Busy, she replied, sinking into the chair opposite him. But honestly, I am feeling a bit lost among all the excitement. Victor leaned forward, concern etched on his face. What do you mean? I am grateful for the success, but I worry that it won't last. I fear disappointing everyone, including myself, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded slowly, his gaze steady. That's completely normal, Alara. The fear of failure is something every artist faces, but remember, you're not just a writer, you're a storyteller. Your journey is valuable. But what if I can keep inspiring people? She asked, her heart heavy. Then you find new ways to connect. Inspiration doesn't have to be perfect or constant. It is about authenticity, Victor replied, his tone soothing. Your vulnerability is your strength. Share your doubts, your struggles. You'll find people resonate with that even more. Alara absorbed his words, feeling a flicker of hope ignite within her. Thank you, Victor. It helps to hear that I am not alone in this. You're never alone, Alara, he said, his voice warm like a comforting embrace. Your story matters. Now go out there and keep writing your truth. With renewed determination, Alara returned home, her heart a little lighter. She thought of the children from her workshops, the laughter and creativity that flourished in their presence. They were a reminder that inspiration was not just about perfection, it was about connection, honesty, and growth. Determined to embrace her journey, Alara reached out to the schools in Willow Creek, offering to host storytelling sessions for students. I want to help young minds find their voices, she explained during a meeting with the school principal. That sounds wonderful, Alara. Our students would greatly benefit from your expertise, the principal replied, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. As she began the sessions, Alara felt a sense of purpose blossom within her. She shared her story, the struggles she faced, and how writing had become her sanctuary. The children listened intently, their faces alive with curiosity. Ms. Alara, can you tell us how you wrote your book? The girl asked one day, her voice bright with eagerness. Of course, Alara said, a smile spreading across her face. I wrote it from my heart, sharing my experiences, my fears, my dreams, and my belief in hope. Through the workshops, Alara witnessed the transformative power of storytelling. She watched as shy kids found their voices, as hesitant hands shot up to share their ideas. Each session filled her heart with joy as she encouraged their creativity. One afternoon, as they gathered around a large table, a young boy named Sam stood up, trembling with excitement. I have a story about a boy who goes on an adventure to find his courage, he announced, his eyes sparkling. Tell us more, Sam. Alara encouraged, leaning forward, her heart swelling with pride. I want to write about how he meets different people along the way who teach him to believe in himself, he continued, his voice gaining strength with each word. That is a beautiful idea, Sam. Your story is powerful and can inspire others, Alara said, her heart brimming with warmth and admiration for the budding storyteller. Each workshop session became a sanctuary of connection, laughter, and growth. Alara realized that as she shared her struggles, the children opened up about their own fears, creating a safe space for vulnerability. But just as she felt her footing beneath her, another wave of criticism hit. A prominent reviewer published a scathing critique of her latest book, calling it a clay and lacking depth. Alara felt her heart drop as she read the words, each one hitting her like a stone. "Why am I even trying?" she muttered, tears brimming in her eyes. Maybe they were right. That evening, overwhelmed by despair, she confided in Mia. "What if I am just fooling myself? What if I can't do this anymore?" Mia took her hands, her gaze fierce with conviction. "Alara, you're worth this and defined by one review. You read so much more than that. You've already touched so many lives. Focus on the love you receive, not the hate." Alara sighed, feeling the weight of her friend's words. "You're right, Mia. I need to remember why I started in the first place." "Exactly. Think of all those kids you've inspired. They need you to keep going," Mia encouraged, squeezing her hands tightly. With renewed resolve, Alara returned to her writing. She channeled her pain into words, crafting a new story that reflected her own journey. It was a tale of resilience, of learning to rise from the ashes, of embracing vulnerability and celebrating the beauty of imperfection. As the days turned into weeks, Alara shared snippets of her new manuscript with her workshop students, who listened with rapt attention. "It's about a girl who learns that failure is part of the journey," she explained. "She finds strength in her struggles." "That sounds just like you, Ms. Alara," the girl chimed in, her voice bright with affirmation. "You always tell us to keep trying." Alara smiled, feeling a rush of warmth, realizing that her struggles had become the very foundation of her story. She was not just a writer, she was a vessel for hope, a bridge for her readers to connect to their own experiences. Finally, the day arrived for her to present the new manuscript to Victor. She entered his office, heart racing, filled with anticipation and nervousness. "Victor, I've written a new story," she said, handing him the pages. He scanned the first few paragraphs, his brow furrowing slightly. "It's raw, Alara, it's real. I can feel your heart in every word." Her heart swelled with pride as he flipped through the pages. "This is what storytelling is about, finding strength in vulnerability. I believe this will resonate with many." "You really think so?" Alara asked, her voice trembling with hope. "I know so," he affirmed, a smile spreading across his face. "We'll get this published. Your voice deserves to be heard." As she left his office, tears of relief streamed down her face. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that her journey of resilience was just as important as the destination. The following months were transformative. Alara's new book was published, and it quickly gained attention for its authenticity and emotional depth. Readers reached out, sharing how her words had inspired them to embrace their own struggles. "Your story reminded me that it is okay to fail," one reader wrote. "It helped me find the courage to chase my dreams." Alara felt a profound sense of connection with her readers, realizing that her words were a lifeline for many.